All right, welcome back to Finding Truth podcast here on Unscripted Truth TV. Logan here with Austin, and we got another banger. We will definitely be going over the race, this afternoon's race. A couple of hindsight catches we've made, and we'll also go into more of what Austin's been gathering on the side. If you guys have been following, he's been doing excellent backdated research that's catching up to what's going on now, and we're starting to see these also Illegal Smile had a wealth of past information that I was like, oh wait, that makes sense now. This stuff is happening. You see where they were setting these rituals up from or for back in the day. And they're coming to fruition, needless to say. And Austin's got more of that. So we're going to cover this week's race. We'll go into some notes that he has to add on. And then we'll discuss a couple of the other things. There's obviously the Bam Adebayo 83-point onslaught at the free throw line. 36 points standing still. It's pretty amazing, bro. Pretty amazing. So we'll cover that, show the absolutely obvious. I mean, I would say ritual, but really what it is just it is a ritual. Certainly is a ritual and paying homage to certain things, and we'll discuss those things. But it's just, guys, if you watch, just do me a favor. Go watch the highlights and then come back. Well, finish our video, then go watch the highlights, then come back to our video and comment where's the proof that this game is not rigged. I want to know, when I'm telling you, don't just watch it lazily. Watch Washington, watch how they play Bam, watch Bam. He's just I won't even go too far into it until we get there. But do yourself a favor, go watch that and tell yourself and tell us how those 83 points were absolutely earned, legitimate, and the game is as competitive as it's ever been and real. I implore you, please. I was telling my son, I was like, 43 free throws. That's probably my practice. Back in the day when I was a kid, I'd probably shoot around, 50 free throws for practice. That was and I'd be a little, oh, my arms are tired. Homie got to work at the free throw line, let alone all the other stuff. And then I was also thinking about it too. I was like, man, those refs got to work out too. They were blowing a lot of whistles. They were probably winded by the end of that game. But anyway, so yeah, hopefully we do these topics some justice. But with that being said, I'll send it down to you. How you doing, Austin?
Absolutely. Here we are in the big Ides of March, already mid-March. It's unbelievable. Tomorrow's Austin 316. It's episode 78 for Austin. We're coming up on 84 for other Austin. It's the numbers are all connecting perfectly. Pretty interesting week. I know it's a couple days ago. There's kind of some weird weather too. It's weird too because we were getting when we got that flooding and stuff. I know all that weird stuff was going on. The rivers stuff were flooding and stuff, and it was weird because there really wasn't any rain during that time. But in the last week, a few days, the weather's been really weird. I 2 days ago when I got up, I was driving and I'm I didn't know there wasn't my area where I live, there was no snow or nothing. It was just rain and just cold and just really crappy. And I started driving towards the gym and stuff, and I just noticed all these cars got snow on them. Where are these cars coming from? Where's the snow at? But literally as you got into Tacoma and you drove that way, there's kind of some snow and stuff, and nothing really accumulation wise, but just kind of basically Friday night and by Saturday morning, whatever kind of was there accumulated just was gone already. So really nothing manifested. It was kind of just weird weather. How it was just kind of all in this area too, and it's the area I'm at's kind of starting to flood again. And even last night I was looking too, it wasn't even that bad. The pictures I've showed you before, where stuff, last night I'm okay, it's not, no rain, the rain stopped, okay, it should be good. And I woke up this morning, I looked again, it was it's even worse. I'm well, how did it get worse? I'm what it stopped raining. It's not raining. Why is there even like more flooding? So now I've been looking at the weather too, and it's just saying nothing but rain. So it's kind of pause for concern again. It's like, okay, we're gonna get flooded out again. Is something else coming? It's just definitely a weird vibe in the air. March is always that kind of month though too. It always throws you curveballs. It gives you some nice days, some warm days, maybe something close to 60 or some 60s. And then it hits you with snowstorms and other crap. So it's always a bipolar month and stuff. And just you never know what you're gonna get in March. And then as it bleeds into April and spring really starts to show itself in the next couple weeks and stuff. So yeah, it's something to keep an eye. I know the weather's pretty much kind of crazy everywhere. I know like Wisconsin just got hit with like couple feet or a few feet of snow and stuff. So kind of everywhere is just kind of getting battered one way or another. But yeah, it's all part of the weather warfare and the moody March weather we always get. And it's just weird. It's just like there's just like this weird like vibe in the air too. It's just knowing like how like fast April's approaching too. Just knowing we're like 2 weeks away from the real start of the new year already. It's just crazy how quickly the time is moving, and it's just there's definitely I don't know, there's just this weird energy right now. I don't know what it is. Like I even noticed it too when I was just kind of out and about this week and doing stuff. There's just kind of like what is all this? What's going on? It's just that strange eerie vibe. But yeah, I think next week's 3/2/2, so we got big days. We got the Ides of March Day. We got 3/2/2 coming up. We got a lot of big days coming up, so I'm expecting the momentum to just keep going and just keep carrying us, and it'll be interesting to see how these weeks start playing out. I know I've been even trying to keep up with the weather, just kind of look and see what it's going to do, but it just keeps changing, so I can't really get a fix on anything yet.
I'll mention too, for anyone growing their own food, I think that's one of the biggest things I've noticed is the strange weather right around springtime, because there's a certain window, a lot of people for certain crops that you need to have your seeds in at a certain time. And for it to go from, like you said, like 60s, almost 70s to then frosting over like that, in my opinion, I think that there's a lot of, it's, real food. Let's just say organic, even though I think organic is just a trick in our head to make us pay more money for things. Real food that's grown not with fake pesticides and fake DNA transplanting and things of that nature. It goes off the cycle of weather where it's supposed to grow, and the environment. It's not DNA spliced to be able to be grown in winter if it's a spring summer crop. And so a lot of this I think some of the more simple things they do to skew the weather that won't like be on anyone's radar is just things like you were saying. And it's been like that here too. Like it's weird, we haven't had a proper winter this year at all. Like I told you about I think we got like 2 inches of snow that was like very fleeting. It was gone by the next day, basically. And yeah, I mean, we're up on at an elevation where snow would happen here very easily if the conditions were even remotely close, but somehow it's just completely skipped our hill and we haven't gotten any snow and barely been cold, to be real. So I wonder what, a lot of times they won't, you won't get just like, they'll do things like you'll get an Indian summer and like a harsh winter, or like so we'll see what like no winter means for this summer. Like, God forbid it means, a crazy hot summer. I'd much rather have a snowy winter than a super hot summer. Then again, I'm good in either one, honestly. Never been one to really complain about the heat or the cold. But that's, I'm not a plant. So, the plants will, they'll complain. And that's a big deal.
Yeah, that it also not only messes up with plants, but it'll mess up people too. I mean, if the weather's going like that, it'll get you sick too. It'll get you a cold or get you sick too, and it'll mess everything up. And that's a thing too, especially if you live in the north, like all places I've lived, Washington, Wisconsin, Wyoming, all these places. It's like you have a very small growing season as it is. You have a very small time of the year where it's actually warm and nice. It's generally more cold areas. I mean, it's not super cold in Washington, but it's still mostly cold. And it's like I said, we haven't had any snow all winter. I mean, then the only kind of somewhat snow, not even in my area. So my area hasn't any snow. But if I drove that way, it was somewhat snowy, or there was snow and stuff. Of course, it would happen on Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th, they're gonna conjure up some little snow thing in like Tacoma and stuff. But leaving my area completely fine. But just all the rain and stuff, and coming down is kind of flooding things again. So we're kind of back to where we were kind of mid to the end December, kind of about 3 months ago already. It's crazy. So yeah, I don't know if that's kind of coming back or what we're gonna see, but yeah, it should be, like I said, with the weather, it's always like this. I mean, I remember my 19th birthday, it was like snowing on that, and that's almost to May. So I've seen snow in April, May.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially in like Wisconsin, Wyoming, especially, and every March is like when you always get hit too with big snowstorms, like Wisconsin or Wyoming, you're going to get smashed. Washington, you can probably expect some snow and kind of crap, just cold still, not really, by the time you hit April, it's like, okay, now you expect the weather to go up, but it could still come back down even into May, May, generally May here, it's going to be nice still, but, some places, I mean, it can snow any time of the year, be cold any time of the year. So it's like, yeah, for people that are trying to grow things or trying to live a healthy life, it can be pretty hard to do up in the northern areas.
That is absolutely true. Further you get from that there equator, if you subscribe to, modern or semi-modern measurements of the realm that we live on, but either way, the tropics, let's just call them that. There's definitely, I mean, deny everything else all you want, or subscribe to whatever you want, but it's pretty clear that there's a line cut through our known areas that is set to be much better temperature and place for living in general. What's weird about that is it's just like that's not where everyone lives. It's just like it's kind of weird. But anyway, so yeah, this most recent race we had here, Big Denny taking it.
Yep.
Mr. Denny's Grand Slam. So yeah, a couple things to note. I know you caught this. We were talking in the lead up, and it's just so funny because like I have like two thoughts and notes that I scrounged up. One's not mine, and the other one I found, and of course you found it as well. But just right off the top, we talked about how this is Denny Hamlin's 61st win, and we talked about this last year too. And of course, it's a repeat. His last win being in Vegas as well, which we just had that happen with Blaney, correct? Was it last week?
Yeah, Blaney won last week, yeah.
And then, but his last race was in the same place, or
his last win was at Phoenix, yeah. And he wins Phoenix again,
yeah. Yeah, that's right. So they do that again. And it's so funny. I swear it's deja vu because I said this in almost the same exact way. They love doing that. They love doing that repeat by year win thing because it adds to that narrative of their character. It shows that they're really good at this track. So there's so much they can do with that now. Now when Blaney gets knocked off in Phoenix, they can say, wow, they overtook Blaney, who's great in Phoenix, or maybe it'll be like a 1-2 situation down the stretch where it'll, say, let's just throw anybody in there, say Byron and Blaney battle down the home stretch and Byron wins it. It can be such a boon to Byron's character saying he beat Blaney there. the same thing we talked about with, SVG getting, losing on a road course. They can say, Reddick didn't just win his third race in a row and stuff like that. He beat SVG. That's like one of the biggest things that he did is beating SVG on a road course. And it's because they built that character for SVG all last year. And the guys weren't with us. We had that shit down on lock. So, that's just how I clearly see it that way. Like I said, I have like a ESPN brain. And so like I just hear the narratives that they're going to run with these people and the storylines that they're going to run. And that's generally what it is. And, so yeah, you have Denny Hamlin, he'll be considered, the guy to beat next time they go to Vegas, and they can go from there. This is just a way of like keeping these storylines fresh. So it's not like stagnant. I know it might seem counterintuitive, but it's actually less stagnant having, drivers win at the same track 3 times, 4 times in a row, because that if you have enough of those going in congruent to each other, you can like cycle news stories about the same thing, but insert driver name here, and it'll seem like a new story. It'll seem like a new storyline, when in reality, it's all just like lazy script writing. It is truly what it is. And that's what Hollywood is now. And that's what sports has been too. Lazy script writing. And we'll talk about that a little bit more with the Adebayo thing. But anyway, I never even said my point. This is Hamlin's 61st win. I think I got sidetracked because we talked last year about what we thought his 61st win would be this year at the end of last year. But anyway, just so happens that he wins this on the 315, otherwise known as the Ides of March. Ides of March equals 61. I already got it pulled up. It also equals 56 like NASCAR, funny enough. Also equals 101, kind of like 11.
Yeah.
I talked last week about this race being in Vegas on the Ides of March, right down the road from Caesar's Palace Casino. And that's what the narrative they went with. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, I called it. Not at all. I'm just, that is the narrative, a clear ritual that they were paying for the NASCAR series. And then shout out to Joseph, a viewer, and he sent great emails. He pointed out that this race, which, damn, it's like these little things, like they shouldn't go unnoticed. It's just like we don't have. I shouldn't say that, because honestly, there's hours in the day I can sit down and get this and do some more research. So I shouldn't say it like that. I know that I'm not committing as much research potential as I could, but my hours are kind of stretched. But at the same time, anyway, this is just a glaring one. Like if you were to know this, you would at least say Denny has a good chance to win this race, because this was 11 weeks on the nose since his father's house fire. So obviously that was a clear ritual that we knew that they would be using this year. Well, boom, there you go. Got used. And as you can see here, hopefully you guys can see, I can make it a little bit bigger. But yeah, from that day to today, 11 weeks on the nose. Yeah. And, we talk about Denny Hamlin too, being kind of the guy who keeps the script on track, if you will. And he's got his first win this season. So it doesn't look like they're necessarily getting rid of his character anytime soon. He had a great season last year, obviously, and almost won. And now already got his first win within the first few weeks. So
yeah, this is a really interesting race. I mean, I tried to look into it, and it's kind of weird too, because I watched the highlights, but there really wasn't much of anything that really happened this race. There wasn't even any DNFs. There really wasn't any wrecks. It was pretty and it went by. It seemed pretty fast. I mean, it seemed like it really just blew by. So, uh, Bell won the first stage, Byron won the second. There wasn't really a whole. I mean, there's different people up front and racing up front and kind of around, but it was really pretty much just Toyota, and there's some Chevys up there and stuff. But it was really kind of the same people. It wasn't. It was kind of just the whole thing was, and I really wondered what they were going to do this week with the Las Vegas and all the Kurt Busch stuff we've been talking about, all the connections. Uh, Too, it's interesting. Of course, SVG started 16th. He finished dead last. He almost wrecked on the first lap too. He had a weird paint scheme too. I looked up what it was this week too. It was something. It was something really weird. The paint scheme it was colorful. I can't remember what it was
Which driver
called.
did you say?
SVG.
I'll take a look here.
Like I was saying, next week is going to be Darlington. They've been doing throwback paint schemes there for I think since like 2015. So very interesting to see. You had a different paint scheme today, but I'm really interested to see what paint scheme. Yeah, the super file.
Yeah. Let's take a look. Is it the lightning bolt shield? I would much prefer to see his paint scheme. Let's see. Is it this one?
No, it was this. I don't believe he's ever. This was like a first time ever running this. I didn't know why he was even in this car, but so I was trying to figure out what was with the paint scheme.
What happened here? What happened to my? Those are his only two sponsors. It says is Red Bull and Superfile.
I guess this is a new sponsor.
Okay. Well, then again, it doesn't say WeatherTech, so I don't know. Maybe that's just like. Maybe I shouldn't be looking at the AI at the top of the page. Probably something I need to think about.
They don't always give you the best answers or full answers for sure.
Oh, you know what? Let's just double check it because I should be able to look here. Just click down to dead last, and you'll see our boy. Let's see. Oh, no. I thought this showed. Does it only show if they win? Usually they would show like maybe it's not the right page. But yeah, you're sure what it was Superfile?
Yeah, it was super fun. Yeah, it was the first time I ever
was.
seen him with this paint scheme.
There's just
I first heard about this week.
Okay. Let me see if I can find a picture from today then.
Yeah, maybe if you just type it in the super file, maybe it'll just come up.
Yeah. I wasn't sure that you were sure. I see though. Here we go. This looks like there we go.
Yeah.
Interesting. Life is beautiful down there, dead last. They'll be sponsoring Zillich at New Hampshire.
Yeah, that right there is very interesting. Especially what we were just talking about before with New Hampshire coming up this year.
The car looks epic, said Van Gisbergen. Bro, shut up. Don't talk. You're ruining it for me. Don't ruin it. Oh, thin ice, partner. Like what?
Yeah, I'm very interested to see next week what they go with this car. Will it be the John Deere car? Will they go with Sharpie or something?
I wonder if there's any word out on that. Like any look ahead. Let's see. March 22 throwback paint schemes Nascar. I doubt images will work. Oh, it looks like some of them are in tribute to Greg Biffle. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I heard about this, yeah.
There we go. Brad, Busher, and Priest. All the RFK boys.
And SVG started the race today in 16th.
These numbers add up to 83. Pretty funny.
Yeah, they actually did the John Deere with the 17 car back in 2018 with Stenhouse. He actually brought that paint scheme back at the Darlington race.
Was there a race on June 17th, 1960? I gotta look just because it looks like a date right there. 6. Probably didn't need to type it in like that. What the hell? During the NASCAR season, 1-8.
We broke the system.
You guys need to listen. You guys need. What were we just saying? Take everything back we said. You guys need to trust the AI at the top of the page. I mean, just look right here. It tells you exact info. Do you guys not know 1-8 binary off the top of your head? Are you guys stupid? Did you not go to like naval decoding school? Come on, guys. 1-8. It's just ritual. It's so funny too that it's like,
yeah.
1-8. However, during the 1960 season, 1-8.
There was just one big ritual, is what you're telling me.
I mean, how far does it go? Dive deeper. More ones, more 8s. I need more. Why is there something like this on so many of our? This needs to be studied, guys. Anyway? There's probably a better way to type that in, but I'm just going to leave it alone I'll do some digging on that, and I'll do like a community post, or if you guys want to look into it. That just is strange how they have that there, like perfectly as a date format. They could have done any of them, but they knew to do it like smallest to biggest number. So it's just interesting. Anyway, we'll skip that. But yeah, interesting. So we got the Biff paint scheme. So have they paid tribute at all other than this? I mean, I think they did something at the beginning, but other than that, I don't, they barely even mentioned Greg Biffle this season. I'm sure if you watch the broadcast, they probably mentioned him, but it hasn't been like standout stuff.
Yeah, I know it's like they've been doing, I guess, like what they do with Earnhardt, like every like lap 3, they like honor Earnhardt every 16th lap. They honor the Biff or whatever. So I guess that's kind of what they've been doing. They did have that 16 on the Clash with his car number and stuff, so that they kind of did a little something there. But
interesting.
Yeah, I can see why they're doing the throwback to Biffle for the Roush guys and stuff. So that makes sense.
Solomon Plumbing. All right, bro. All righty. Well, we'll definitely need to be looking into date comparisons for the Biff in this upcoming race.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's any more. And if you guys know of any more paint schemes that are. Oh, does this have them all? Just okay. There's those. Okay, there's those 18 times. Okay, so they're doing another biffle. Am I tripping? Yeah. There would be another 3M sponsorship throwback with I'm guessing this is Xfinity or something.
Yeah, I was trying to think who's that. It looks Xfinity, yeah. You have to pay attention to the Xfinity too, and even the trucks. I guess all the paints. I forgot if they did it in the Xfinity and the trucks too, because they've been doing this since I guess 2015.
Yeah, got the Mopar throwback. Let's go, dude. In the truck series, that is. It's interesting. So yeah, didn't look like they had too many. The only like leaks have been the 4 Biffle cars and one's Xfinity. So really just I don't know if these are actually what they're going to look like or this is from previous years, obviously. So yeah, I guess we might be find out as they come, but RFK, 2025. Yeah, it looks like they'll come out as they come. But either way, it's good to know that they're going to be doing a Biffle tribute coming up here. That's something to take note of for sure. What I wanted to point out, you mentioned earlier that this was a quick race. You know, logistics matter. They have this World Baseball Classic going on. And it started at 5:00. So it's not a stretch to say, it's not a 7th inning stretch to say that they wanted to make sure their viewers had time to take a shit and get another soda and pizza ordered to sit on their fat asses and watch this right after the race. So makes enough sense, especially since this is being so hyped up. It's like, man. Anyway, so yeah, that just made me think about it. I was like, is there a baseball classic game on today? Of course there is. And it's like the most hyped up one on the one so far. But anyway, did you have any more about Denny Hamlin or any of the other drivers? Was there anything that stood out? Like you said, you saw I know Gibbs ran a good race. He was.
Yeah, he's been doing it. Yeah, I've been wondering about him because he's been top 5 in every week, been running really strong. So I'm wondering if we're going to get a win out of him here very soon. Plus, he does it at 54-45. So, yeah, I was thinking about that too this weekend. I'm like, are they going to give it maybe to Gibbs? Because it's kind of any qualified top 5, finished top 5. So yeah, he's 10th in the standings. I mean, doing a really solid job. So I'm wondering what they're going to exactly do with him. I'm thinking this year he'll probably get a win, but yeah, I mean he's just he's been consistent. He's doing the old Winston Cup style. Just got to get me those top 5s, and I'll be the champion. So
yeah, I think
I didn't really see too much out of a lot of people today. It wasn't. I mean, the field there was people kind of coming and going all race. Obviously, Zilic, struggled again. I know he got in like a spin, but it was weird too because there wasn't any cautions, really wasn't accidents. So if you got rid of the stages, I mean, this could have been like a caution-free race too. Almost, it was it was just a very interesting race. I thought there would have been maybe more to it or about it, but it seemed like they're just kind of getting it through. So just a clear ritual basically. I know some people pick like Byron or Larson or something. I kind of thought maybe Chevy might get their first win of the season, but still it's a no. But I mean, they're kind of, like I said too, they're kind of was still that 4 or 5, and you have the 4 or 5 races now that Toyota's won of the season. It's Denny Hamlin, so it's kind of close still to Reddick, kind of a knockoff there with Gibbs. So it kind of still was the 4 out of 5 in a way. So it kind of you kind of can somewhat still count it, but just that one Ford win, Ford for Toyota. So it's kind of interesting when Chevy will win, when Hendrick will win, and then kind of who else kind of starts, maybe gets their first win. There's a lot of people too that like Bubba, he's up there second in the standings. What's he going to do? When's he going to get a win? He's been solid, consistent. There's so many people. It's just kind of a clear ritual today of Hamlin. I didn't see how many laps he led or anything.
134.
About half the race, yeah.
Yeah, he made out like a bandit in points. I don't know. Yeah, I guess we can quickly look. 70 seems like a lot. I don't. Maybe I'm. Oh no. Okay, that's about what the winner should get. It looks like. Well, no, that guy Reddick got 61. So around 70 or up to 70. About, I guess I should say.
Yeah, when I first looked before, it said he had 69 points, like Illuminati. I was going to make a point of that 69, and then they just bumped it up to 70. That's interesting.
I'm trying to think what 70 might mean, or even just 7. Yeah, who knows? It might, it might be arbitrary in the grand scheme. Maybe not, though. It is pretty clear that they were paying tribute to his father, though, or at least, paying homage to the fact that he sacrificed him. That's for sure.
Yep. And greatly sacrificed, as it was put.
Yep. Was there more that I had? I don't think so. Let's go back and look at the standings, shall we? What was a point I was going to make? Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to make. I put out a community post for Kyle Larson. Interestingly enough, he did win the Xfinity race. And so that was kind of a red flag for me, or a checker flag, I guess you could say. Just kind of. Yeah, exactly. It just kind of was jarring my last season's sweep of the 2 races after his agent sacrifice. So that didn't come to fruition, but he still ran a pretty good race and all that stuff. But as far as winning, it's so weird because now this format is like, it feels weird because it's like we can try to go for the winner all we want, but should we be going for who gets the most points? It's like, I mean, obviously the winner will, but I mean, in most cases the winner will, but it's like I said, like this format is a lot more, I think, easier to manipulate as far as how to spread out the points to get the desired result by the end of, before the last 10 races of the season, or when the chase truly begins. So it might seem arbitrary early in the season. Of course, this is O'Reilly's, but I think these margins will add up, obviously, by the time it gets to playoff time, and they'll be able to have whoever they need to have there right where they need them by that time, without whether or not they win a race or not. So
that's what's so interesting too, because like you said, it's weird and it is strange because it's like the old Winston Cup format in like 2004. I mean, basically everything was the exact same except all of a sudden the last 10 races, they reset the points and there's a cutoff. So basically, there was no difference between the Winston Cup and the Chase when they first changed it until all of a sudden the last 10 races, and then that's when they changed that all up, and they'd get the 10 guys in. They'd swap the points around, or however they do it. I know it. I think it was like 5. The first guy would 5 points over the next, so everybody would be like from like first to 10th was like 50 points, I think. And like then they changed, I think 2007. It went by it was 12 people then, and like if you won a race, that was like 10 points. So if one guy won like 5 times and one guy didn't win any, so he'd be like 50 points over that person. If people that were in it didn't win at all, they'd have, they'd all be even. So I know they kind of talked about doing that. So it's like that, but modified, but with the stages and everything that's changed with NASCAR, different points and point standings and stuff. It does make it a lot more confusing. It's like, what are we really measuring now? And so it'd be interesting to see how this kind of manipulates the season too, moving forwards.
I mean, because Larson took 7th, but he took, I think, what, 1, 2, 3. He was 4th in points. So
yeah, he was good in the stages.
Still a pretty good win for him.
Yeah.
And then let's quickly look at the standings, which these I'd say have a lot of time to fluctuate. At the moment, Reddick's still coasting on his 3-peat, and not doing too poorly either. Like in the races he hasn't won, he's also done pretty good. But if it started today, our boy's in there just by the skin of his teeth.
He said 16th. That's where he started today. 16th.
Yeah,
there
interesting. Yeah, the next race with the Biff and tributes and everything too. Interesting.
What's that 16 there in that second column too? He's got a 16 right next to him. You see that?
His stage points.
Wow, he's got 16. Started 16th.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
Unbelievable.
Ryan Priest also has 16 stage points, and he's going to have a Biff tribute car next week.
Yeah, very interesting.
Well, I'll definitely take a gander at it. But yeah, I guess we can look into things and or go over some of the notes you had. And I guess this is a good spot as any to implore you guys to keep coming with the comments and information. It's been some really good stuff. I've enjoyed corresponding with you guys. Joseph's been heavy, giving great clues and things that I'm not privy to, like things that are on the broadcast and everything he's pointed out. Like I know they've done some weird tributes with a guy like having a stroke on air, one of the announcers, and they like talked about Bell's palsy and just interesting, obviously Christopher Bell. Moreover, just the Bell iconography. We highlighted this last year during Bell's 3-peat. A bell is a heavily used symbol in Masonry, and they used Christopher Bell in order to wrap up Hiram Abiff ritual on the Shriners 400 race of all races. But then also they had the Gibbs trio take the pole 1, 2, 3 too. So they that was the ending note of my community post thing. Was it pointed out that Kyle Larson's crew chief was coming in with 227 races, and it was 227 days from or to Kyle Larson's birthday. I think from Kyle Larson's birthday. So just a quick little pointer there. But yeah, at the bottom, I put a little thing saying, just pointing out that that Gibbs, went 1, 2, 3 on the pole, and they did, 2 3-peat rituals with Gibbs last year. Obviously, Bell getting his 3-peat, and then in the playoffs, the first 3 races won by Gibbs. So, or at least, yeah, I think it was the first 3 races of the playoffs were won by Gibbs, if I remember correctly. But yeah, there was they Gibbs. I think we've pegged him. Pause. No, I think we've pretty easily shown that he is heavily affiliated in Masonry. Obviously, he what has won the Lombardi Trophy and things of that nature in football, which is heavily Masonic. Just like all leagues, when you really peel away the BS, you'll be able to see it. It's not as hidden as you guys think. Remember when they shut, the only time they've ever stopped a game mid-game in the NFL a couple of seasons ago now for the Damar Hamlin, the D Hamlin ritual they did, where he, keeled over midfield and they all surrounded him, and you had Neil, the guy's name Neil, and the whole Hiram Biff, which shout out to Rambo, former contributor in Zach's circles. He still contributes. He does another program. I've caught it a couple of times, and I won't give any criticisms of it. Rambo, from everything I've ever seen of him, other than that one time with Zach, have I been like, yo, what's this guy about? But he does great, like, esoteric information, and like he was able to point out the fine tooth comb details of that Hiram Abiff ritual. And so they do these things in sports right in front of your eyes. They did a Hiram Abiff ritual last year, which I'm sure there was more to unpack there, but we were able to at least point out and be on the better end of calling that three-peat because we saw what Gibbs was about and the iconography with Christopher Bell, and it's only been added on to, now we have interesting information about Briscoe and Bell and things of that nature. But anyway, don't want to get too lost in the sauce, but very Masonic, needless to say. And I don't know if you want to look ahead to next week really quickly and then go over your notes, or if you just want to go over your notes and I can try to pull up anything you need me to pull up, but otherwise I can just kind of be looking ahead, or I can just pull up things that you want to talk about. Either way.
Yeah. The only thing I really, like I said, next week is just the fact that it's the throwback. It's on 3-2-2. It's like I said, it's gonna be very interesting to see when they come out with everyone's paint schemes this week, what everyone's racing. So it'll be very interesting to see on Sunday what everybody chooses to drive and what throwbacks people go with. And because like I said, they've been doing this, I think since 2015 they've been doing this. So gonna be very interesting, especially with SVG and everyone else, and even Zilich, and just what people choose, and especially with everything we've been going over. I mean, it's hard to imagine, SVG going with a throwback that's not Sharpie or John Deere or something. It's like, what other 97 are you gonna pick? It's like, maybe he'll pick the Crown Royal one and get a DUI. But well, that's why you finished last. That's why you're wrecking on the first lap.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
You're swerving like it's a road course. This is like, oh, buddy, what's going on out here?
Yeah, here, have a joint for the race. You'll do better. But should be very interesting. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but we'll see and try, and I'll see when they pop up with everyone's thing. I'll probably find out maybe Friday or Saturday what people are driving, but for sure on Sunday what all the throwbacks will be. That should be pretty interesting. But as far as my notes go, some pretty interesting stuff. Not a ton, but a lot of stuff. Of course, there was the Old Dominion shooting, or the Old Dominion news, and the first thing I thought when I heard Old Dominion was NASCAR, because that used to be the race was called the Old Dominion 500, and the last one was in 2002 was won by Kurt Busch, and it was the 54th running, of course, of the Old Dominion, so you can't go wrong with that. Of course, that would have been his second win as well, at the 2002 Old Dominion, 54th running. And what I thought about today was, SVG finishing last, which last place was 36, and Kurt Busch ended up starting 36th in that race and ended up winning. I thought that was very interesting how that played out. And, what's interesting too is in that race too, Johnny Benson would go on to finish second, and he led 16 laps. Johnny Benson would then get, Kurt Busch was all of a sudden on fire at that point at the end of the season. Johnny Benson had never won, but he, of course, he was, teammates with Roush, and drove the 26 car and stuff, the Cheerios car and stuff. So he was, kind of part of that organization too. And then, of course, going with MB2 and the 10 car, and then he ends up getting the second place. Then he ends up winning a couple weeks later, getting his only win at Rockingham. And it's interesting too, because he, of course, like I said, won the 95 Busch Series championship, and then Chad Little finished second. And what's interesting about all of this too is when this happened, of course, in that race, Kurt Busch led 111 laps, and that was the amount of laps Chad Little led in his career, which is very interesting that he'd get that exact amount of laps in that race. And what's interesting too is how Kurt Busch's first win on March 24, 2002 was exactly 12 days. It was exactly 12 days before the death of Lane Staley with all the 4.5s. So getting ready for that ritual just 12 days later, and then you have the Kurt Cobain tribute, 8 years of his death as well. So they got that just in time. And of course, then that brought you towards the later stages of 2002. And Kurt Busch had, like I said, we're talking about this last week too, how he was really just all of a sudden on fire in 2002 and 2001. The struggle and stuff, and taking over that team and stuff, and how how Roush struggled that year. And only Jeff Burton won 2 races in 2001, and nobody else at Roush would win that year. And really, it was always at Roush. It was always Mark Martin and Jeff Burton, because they had their own teams, their own shops. And then when they got 97 at Chad Little, and then the 16 car that was there before with Ted Musgrave and Kevin LePage, they didn't have the 16, never really ran as well. The 97, the 26, because they didn't have the equipment and stuff. And a lot of times they didn't have the luck. And Johnny Benson in the 26, and how all this comes together. But what's interesting too is when Kurt Busch won that race, it was on the 20th of October 2002. And of course, 2 days before that, we've talked about this before. I know I've mentioned this, but 2 days before that, you had the Ring that came out on October 18th, 2002. Of course, another tribute to Washington as well, getting that in there. And so the Ring comes out, and then Kurt Busch goes on a tear there for that end of 2002. Tony Stewart wins a championship. Kurt Busch wins 3 of the last 5 races, starting with that race at Martinsville, which makes it all more interesting. And what's interesting too, we've talked about how Martinsville and Bristol, the 2 short tracks, they have that 201 connection.
Yep.
And we talked about too last week as well. Kurt Busch didn't even have a sponsor once John Deere left. He didn't have a sponsor for about almost a quarter of the way 2001. It was the 8th race of 36. And that race was on April 8th, 2001. So it was 7 days, or 7 years after the death. Yeah, 7 days, 7 years after the death of Kurt Cobain, which is very, very interesting. The news breaks that day. On 94, 7 years later, he gets his sponsor, Sharpie, in that race. So another, perfectly orchestrated ritual, how that all came to be. And of course, it's interesting too, because kind of Kurt Busch's career kind of it's pretty much in the 97 was all about kind of, you know, the Ring, and then Ring 2 came out in 2005. And what's interesting too is, you know, that's one is his last year with the 97 and Roush, and then that's the whole time he won with the team. In 2001, he didn't win it all. He finished 27th in the standings, like Kurt Cobain did at age 27. Of course, that's where he's going to finish in the standings that year, when Kurt Donald Cobain equals 97. But yeah, what's also interesting too, you know, in 2005, you know, he got that last win on September 10th, the day before 9/11, and that was in the Crown Royal car. And, you know, of course, he gets the DUI at the end of the year. So, I mean, you have the direct mockery there. It's going to be, you know, a sponsor for that race. So he only had that sponsor like in 2005 and towards the end of the season. So it was a, you know, perfect mockery setting up for what was going to be just a couple months down the road. How they always like to set that stuff up. And like I mentioned, you know, Kurt Busch won the, you know, 3 of the last 5 races in 2002. Johnny Benson was really good at that time as well, especially in that 10 car from 2000 to 2002 in the Pontiac. And then when Johnny Benson won that Rockingham race, Kurt Busch finished 3rd, Mark Martin finished 2nd. And then, of course, you know, Mark Martin always drove the Valvoline car. And then he was the Pfizer Viagra car. And then Johnny Benson took the Valvoline cars. To go figure, when he finally wins in the Valvoline car, Mark Martin's going to finish 2nd, when, you know, he was the guy always driving the Valvoline car. So it's also how they do that. And then the other race, he finished 6th of those 5 races, and Matt Kenseth won that one. That was Matt's 5th win of the season. He won the most races that year, and Kurt Busch had 4, and so they won a lot of races that year. Jeff Burton didn't win any, when he was the only guy to win the year before. So that was when Roush they had all their teams starting to finally do good and take off and be successful and stuff, versus having like 2 cars that do well and the rest of the team just kind of struggles. 2002 is when everything kind of really changed with all that, and with Kurt Busch winning. And it's interesting too, like I mentioned, you know, all these connections. One thing we forgot to mention too is Mr. John Deere as well. You know what they'd always call Chad Little, Mr. John Deere. That's got the 61 and the 56, just like our Ides of March has the 56, 61. NASCAR, of course, 56. That's very interesting. And of course, in the Las Vegas race, falling on the Ides of March perfectly, SVG starting 16th, finishing 36th. And what also is too, what also I brought up as well, which is interesting, is how, you know, Chad Little had his best finish at Texas there on, of course, 4/5 of 98, 4 years after Cobain died, exactly to that day, for another 4/5. And then SVG's best finish of the 97 so far is also a 2nd at Texas. Of course, the road course had just happened on the first a couple of weeks ago. So I thought they're definitely paying tribute there with that. Definitely another 2nd at 97, and being in Texas as well. Of course, that was Little's on the 1.5 in Fort Worth, and then this was in the road course in Austin, Texas. So it's how they line that up. And then what also is interesting too is you know, Kurt Busch getting the Sharpie car on 4/8 of 2001, and then he's born on 8/4, date that written 4/8, you know, 4/8/84. So it's interesting. Austin 84, and then of course Kurt Busch born in 78, Austin 78. So, you know, you got Chad with my birthday, and you got Kurt Busch, who kind of has the Austin numbers too, with the 84 and the 78. Like I said, it's episode 78 tonight, so it kind of all fits together perfectly. And yeah, another thing I was thinking of too, that I was looking at.
Jeff Gordon has the same birthday.
Yep, Jeff Gordon also has that birthday too.
I was like, definitely there's somebody. That's interesting. It's really interesting. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, another interesting, another 16 too that I figured out too was the 2nd Daytona race in 2000, the night race. Jeff Burton won that race, and then Chad Little ended up finishing 16th. And I don't know try to look back at what happened that race to make that 16, to get him that another 16 for this whole situation, because I know he was in the top 10. He looked like he for sure was going to finish in the top 10 and had a shot to win there in the last so many laps, and then something happened, and then he ended up finishing 16th. But it was after that race they announced that he wasn't going to be part of the team next year, and they were going their own ways. And then it was on September 15th, so about a year before, just after a year before 9/11. So basically about a year before 9/11, they had that was when John Deere announced they were leaving the sport. They weren't going to be around anymore, so they were finishing their year up. So I thought that was very interesting. And then with what's interesting about with Chad Little that week, that race, that Daytona race, that was the week. There was probably about 5 or 6 days later is when Kenny Irwin Jr. would die after they announced Chad Little not returning next year. And it's interesting too, because I talked about how, Chad Little leaves, John Deere leaves, Dale Earnhardt dies the next race after John Deere's not there anymore. And then with, him flipping off Kurt Busch and stuff. And then it's interesting how then this kind of comes into it too, because, now here's where it's first announced that, Chad Little's going to be, not going to be there. And then after this, days later, on that Friday, Kenny Irwin Jr. gets killed, like what happened to Earnhardt. And then, of course, you have also Adam Petty 56 days before this dying at New Hampshire. Of course, he drove the 45, then you have the 42. So the 45 and the 42, of course, both drivers end up dying. So
just want to point out Kenny Irwin's birthday was a day after Busch and Gordon. Interesting.
Yeah, it's the way they tie this up is just absolutely unbelievable. And what's interesting is thinking of this, that was 26 years ago, 2000, when this happened. So that 26, I'm thinking, there's going to be that New Hampshire race in August, and we already seen Zillage is going to have that paint scheme going there too at New Hampshire. I'm wondering if we're going to see a ritual take place with all of this at New Hampshire, with all that happened there 26 years ago in 2000 with both the deaths. Adam Petty in the 45 with all the other 45s and all the 42s, Kurt Cobain 42, and you have Kenny Irwin Jr. getting killed there. So, and them being 56 days apart there. So this is all very interesting how all this is put together. And it was interesting too. I know after July, I think the last race was Pocono of 2000, and then once it became August, the John Deere car, like the hood changed too. It wasn't green anymore. It just became yellow for the end of Chad Little's career, and then the start of Kurt Busch's, it was had a yellow hood instead of a green hood. But I always thought that was kind of interesting how they did that, especially when they announced he wasn't going to be he wasn't going to be there. And then they said John Deere was going to pull out of the sport, and then everything that's happened since then, and how it all played out. So, yeah, all very interesting. And like I said, like how it all kind of ties back to with the Old Dominion here and that, the 54th running, all this mockery, all this Kurt Busch stuff. And so there's going to be a lot to look forward to in the upcoming weeks and months with all this. And there's plenty of races I'm looking at right now, even like Talladega, how that falls on the 26th. Are we is that going to be some kind of Chad Little ritual right there? Because with him turning 63, born in 63, turning 63, look what they just did with Michael Jordan, born in 63, turning 60. I mean, he just went off. I mean, we set records. There's never been this many wins. So
keep in mind his Hornets have been on a tear too in the NBA. So he's just been collecting check after check after check. He wins in the off season against NASCAR. That's a huge win for him. And then, just like a firestorm. You're absolutely correct. Keep in mind too that Hamlin's next win will be a 62nd. And did you know that Denny Hamlin's wife is named Jordan?
Oh, that's Jordan. He's been married to the same person, hasn't he? I don't think he's
since they were relatively young. Here's the interesting thing about that is he met her at a Bobcats game, and I couldn't find it. It didn't say that it was like, oh, he was there like with Jordan. I don't know how long 23XI has been a team, so I'd have to do some cross referencing unless you could help me out with that. But it didn't say anything about Michael Jordan. But she was a cheerleader for Michael Jordan's Bobcats before they became the Hornets. So it's just like, bro, it's like, man, there's some weird stuff going on. Unless it was like, because it doesn't say like Jordan took him to the game and he was introduced to her. It was just like he saw her at the game. But it's like, but you're at a Bobcats game? It's just like some weird stuff. I would assume it's Jordan related. It just didn't say it right there. So if anybody does any digging, I'm going to keep looking into it as well. But it's like, I would assume it's Jordan related. So people could say, no, come on. Either way, I still think it's interesting. It's like, bro, you work with the Jordan, your wife's name is Jordan, the 62, also the 26, it being Jordan's year in 2026 is interesting.
Well, and Denny Hamlin's rookie year was 2006 too. That was his
there you go.
Year. So yeah, there's the 2-6 again.
Was he with Gibbs the entire time?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and Kurt Busch finished second in both of his first 2 wins at Pocono. Kurt Busch finished second, and then Kurt Busch would win there next year, the fall race. He broke a big winless streak he had since Bristol of 2006, and he went on to win Michigan that year. So he had 2 wins in 2007, 1 in 2006. But yeah, it's interesting how this connects. So yeah, and I think I can't remember if Hamlin won the pole both those races. I can't remember if Kurt Busch started second both those races too, but he finished. I know when Kurt Busch won the Pocono race the next year, I think he started second, and Dale Jr. was on the pole or something, but. Because he only had 1 pole in 2007, it was California. And then in 2006, he had a bunch of poles. He had like 6 tied with Casey Kane. But yeah, Denny Hamlin's first 2 wins, Kurt Busch finished second right behind him.
So like currently in 2006, he won back-to-back at Pocono. And then like you scroll up and his last 2 races wins have been back-to-back at Las Vegas. It's just,
it's very interesting, yeah.
And June 11th, Anyway, yeah, so that's interesting facts about our boy Danny there. He's in the Yahoo car again. I didn't see anything. I don't remember. Let's see, does Yahoo have a larger name than just Yahoo? No, it's just Yahoo. I won't do it. Yeah, okay. I guess I could, just for posterity. Yeah. That's interesting, 95. Anyway. Yeah. No, great stuff, dude. And yeah, just building on that resume too, pointing out that it's not arbitrary that Busch goes into the Hall of Fame. Of course, you still have his brother racing, and they're, it's weird. I'm telling you, they I swear there is a lot of, I've seen multiple races that look lined up for Kyle to get a win. Of course, he's pulled a few times as well, but like, and then he just kind of like, teeters out, but I wonder if this year will be off the side. Let's take a quick look. Why do I got to look at this? Thank you, driver averages. Good ads you got there. Let's go look at Kyle Busch. Let's take a look see here, because I'm actually kind of off on when his last win was and everything. 2023. Okay, I'm kind of remember now. So,
It's interesting too, because Kurt Busch, I talked about that West Coast Hall of Fame, like Chad Little, Derek Coper in there. They were class of 2013, and then Kurt Busch was in there in 2023. Jeff Gordon's in there. I don't know which one Jeff Gordon was in. It wasn't 2023, but he was in there. But I think Kurt Busch was the last like person they put in there. I think it said, because I didn't see anybody added for 24, 25 or after that. So I don't know if they do that anymore or they're done with that or whatever, how that works. But um, he was in there in 2023, and he was like the last, I think, nominee in there. And then of course he goes in, the NASCAR Hall of Fame. But um, yeah, I know Biffle's in the West Coast Hall of Fame. I don't know why Casey Kane's not in there. That's kind of weird. He's not in there for some reason. I don't know if they're gonna bring it back and put him in there. Why they didn't put him in, but um, yeah, kind of all the people. A lot of West Coast people are pretty much everyone you could think of are basically in there. So um, I also thought that was interesting as well. And yeah, Kyle Busch. He's. I mean, that pole at Daytona with the Kurt Busch and the Kurt Russell and the Kurt Cobain and Kyle Busch on pole. I mean, just all these things. Like I was talking about, the ring, how that's synced up Washington, the ring 45, and how we're talking about that. Now it all plays into the shooting, the Old Dominion. Kurt Busch wins the last Old Dominion, the 54th running of it, and that's the last one. And how they set this stuff up, and the races at Las Vegas today. So I mean, I that's really to me what it was. I really think my notes, everything we talked about, the notes with all the Kurt Busch and the Chad Little, everything we've been talking about. I really think that's what the race today was about, especially with Hamlin getting a 61. I mean, there really wasn't anything else to the race today. You led the most laps. Led about half the race. So this was just looked like a obvious Denny Hamlin ritual. It didn't look like there's anything else you could take away from it. Yeah, and just perfectly 11 weeks after the death and all the stuff going on, and it's just the way they line this stuff up, and that's the thing. I heard that Old Dominion shooting, and the first thing I thought of was NASCAR. I'm like, when was that last one? I know Kurt Busch won that race, and I had to look, and that was the last one. And then they were done with it. And next year it was the Subway 500 in 2003, and that was the last. And that was the end of the Winston Cup area. Kurt Busch wins the first chase, and now we're back to the chase, somewhat, kind of, but modified, and it just all comes full circle. The ring.
Yes, sir. And I'll have to do some independent digging there to see what they have planned. You made some good points. Mainly just hopefully we're able to catch wind of some of these paint schemes. I feel like there's gonna be some, obviously it showed you. Ryan Priest is interesting to me already, just having that little inkling there of a random note they're throwing out pretty early. And the stats lining up with with the 16 and in the car in tribute to Biffle. I would not be surprised that they just let this slip by and not have one of those cars win. And keep an eye on the Xfinity race as well, guys, with whoever that was. I already forgot the name of that guy who will be in a Biffle-inspired car as well. And there could be more as well. It just looked like RFK was trying to get out ahead of it and, hey, look at us. We're the nicest guys around, of course we're going to have something in tribute for our Roush driver. That doesn't mean that other cars won't. And then, keep an eye on what the 97's doing. And then I think maybe even take a peek over at what good old Kyle Busch is doing too. Be interesting. Let's just quickly, because I didn't see too much, but his last win was in 2023. Sometimes these big dates can kind of actually 147 weeks, 1,022 days. 33 months. And that is a day with a double 17 date numerology. Now,
That's interesting what they do it with the paint schemes too. Because there was that Kevin Harvick paint scheme too that looked like the John Deere car too. That it had the same like colors, the same places, stuff. That's interesting. That was Kevin Harvick because, of course, Kevin Harvick took over Dale Earnhardt's car, and of course, Dale Earnhardt and Chad Little had the same birthdays. So it's interesting that the guy who took over Earnhardt's car when they have the same birthday would have a paint scheme almost the same as that car. So it's it's another way. It's it's not even when it's like a throwback. I can't remember if that was the throwback race or not. When he ran that scheme, but I think it was a Subway car. Everybody, the way it looked and everything, and the fact it was him and his history and stuff, and it's weird too because the 3 becomes a 29 when he took over the 29 car, and they have the his car was white. Kurt Busch's was white too because he didn't have a sponsor at the time, so they both had white cars. That was kind of interesting. And of course, you had the 29, and that's their birthday, April 29th. So it's the way they line this up with cars, car numbers, paint schemes, who's driving what. It's just amazing how they put it together.
It is his birthday will be 5 weeks and 6 days away from next week. Just a little interesting. He has the 106 in his name, like NASCAR as well. Obviously, 56 is a big NASCAR number. What was the day count? 41 days total. What is Busch? Okay, yeah, Busch does have that 17, like the date numerology from his last win, which will also be the date numerology for the race. It does have a path of 17 there. Interesting. It'll be the 81st day of the year. What can I say about 80? Yep. I guess you can see what Google thinks about 1s and 8s. 1-8, 1-8. All right. Well,
Busch drinking too much Busch beers, getting the DUI.
you know what? I mean, yeah, that's obviously such a funny joke that he's named Busch getting a DUI. He gets caught. Gets caught with Coors Light though, just like disowned. But what I wanted to ask is, he part of the Busch family, Anheuser-Busch, or does his name just happen to be Busch and he's sponsored by Busch?
I think that's just their name is just Busch. Okay. But it's weird too. They come in NASCAR when there's the Busch series too, and the Busch, and it's just ridiculous.
I don't know how. Is it E? Oh, there we go. Okay. God damn it.
Yeah, because Kurt Busch, he became president, or when George Bush became president there, and it's like, right, it's interesting how when George Bush, when that happened, November there, that's, Kurt Busch is just starting in the Cup Series, then starting his career there in 2001. Bush becomes, put in the presidency there in January, their inauguration, and then you have Kurt Busch take over the 97, and then, with Earnhardt and everything that happened there, and 9/11, all of it, it's very interesting.
Kurt was sponsored by Miller Lite at one time.
Yep, that's when he took over from Rusty Wallace. Yep.
Yeah, dude. All right. Well,
gets a DUI and then goes into the Miller Lite car too. That's the thing. You end your Roush, you win in the Crown Royal car.
No,
they're not even your primary sponsor. Oh, it's just gonna go Crown Royal for this one. It's gonna be my last win because I'm getting a DUI. And then I'm hopping in Rusty Wallace's Miller Lite car. It's like in the Busch series, the mockery is just unbelievable how they do this.
Oh. Okay, so his last win was on June 4th, and his next win is his 64th. If he ever gets another win. But interesting,
Yeah.
just in that little article there, just shows that for Gibbs Racing, he won 56, had 56 wins, and his birthday will be 5 weeks and 6 days away from this next race. Interesting. All right, well, let us know if you spot something clearer than we do, obviously. Yeah, obviously polls will have something to do with it as well. But yeah, I think the main deal is just like trying to catch as early as possible all the sponsorships. And here, really quickly, just while I'm on task, and I don't forget because I do just tend to forget. Let's look up Ryan Priest real quick.
He's still looking for that first win.
Yeah, October 25th. It's his birthday. $148 days from the race. 21 weeks in a day. 43 is kind of interesting. Let's see. To his next birthday would be it's like Jordan's birthday. 31 weeks exactly. Let's see.
You know what's interesting? Jordan's birthday, 217. There's not how many Chad Little. That's how many starts he had too, wasn't it? 217 starts.
That's what it says.
Yeah. Wow.
Interesting.
Wow. We're just putting this together. Yeah, I can't believe I didn't catch that before. Yeah, 217. Yep.
Ryan Priest does have he's got the 1-6 connection, like 106, 16. He's got the 56 like NASCAR as well. I wonder if he'll just be in a Ream car, the water heater. And then I was just going to quickly check his best finish, I guess. Best finish being last year at Vegas, interestingly enough. Look like he'll be in the Kroger car, actually, now that I think about it. I think that picture showed him in the Kroger car. Kroger.
74, 38. Wow, look at those numbers. So
Interesting numbers. What's the date numerology for this? Main date numerology is 81. That's right. I want to know if any of these teams or anything has actual connections to Yale or anything like that. It's probably few and far between people that have connections to Yale and NASCAR. But it'd be interesting that potential of like crew chiefs and things of that nature. Something to, if anybody has any or owners, things of that nature too. NASCAR owners, Yale. there was a Yale dean, which, by the way, keep in mind, this guy was in Skull and Bones. That's how they do it at this school. The deans are former Skull and Skull and Bones members. I think pretty much that's at least that was the old way of doing it. I don't know if they've switched it up for whatever reasons nowadays, but that's how they kept it cycling. The new principals and deans would always be former Skull and Bones members. Well, former. So interestingly enough, he testified in the lawsuit just in the off season that they settled. And interesting. Oh, he was on the side of Jordan and Trackhouse too. Other than that, I don't. Looks like we're not going to find potentially any other Yale connections. But that's interesting. I mean, might as well find more information on that stuff. I didn't know that. Most likely, a former Skull and Bones or a Skull and Bones member testified in that case that ended up being settled in favor of Trackhouse and 23XI. That has been kind of like one of the bigger. Obviously, at Denny Hamlin's father's death, but other than that, that was like the biggest. Oh, and Greg Biffle, obviously. But yeah, that was the biggest story in the off season next to those. So anyway, otherwise, if you guys know about any other Yale connections, I even has been filling in that index of of the team owners and everything. And so when I'm looking these people up, I'm seeing their stuff, and I didn't notice any Yale connections there too. So either way. It's not just Yale, by the way. 322 is important for in Kabbalah the 3 pillars, 22 paths, and things of that nature. You can obviously look all of that esoteric kind of stuff up in your own time. Maybe we'll have a big episode on that kind of thing, and obviously it affects Masonry. Once again, something that we do, I think, need to plan an episode on, like a super show kind of thing. I would hope to have King Richard there, talking about as much as as much as we know about the different sects and orders in Freemasonry and what it affects, especially when it comes to sports too. It's just like it's crazy how it's so obvious and people still don't. Just like the Illuminati, it's just somehow they've just completely bamboozled everybody to think that these things aren't affecting more than their membership at their little square buildings. It's ridiculous. And you know what it's going to take. That's why I applaud King Richard too, because he's candid about his family's involvement with Masonry. You're not going to catch that with where are the people? Where are the people? If these are all just real people and they're not mole people, how come they're not coming forward? Why are you guys all? Is the secret that good? It's like, God, man. And that's the other annoying part is too. It's like, no, it's not that good. It's interesting. I just have a disdain because there's an ego aspect of it that just really bothers me when you're in the presence of someone who thinks that they are superior to you. And when I say that, I'm referring to the time a Mason came to our house to sell ADT security. And it's annoying because looking back, hindsight's 2020, and I could say a million excuses for why I didn't speak up exactly how I should have spoken up in that moment. I saw his rings, and the way he was talking and the way he was, it's not like my girl's any pushover or anything like that. Mentally, she's not like some pushover. It's just that he preyed on certain factors and he was playing a different game than her. It was just her and him talking back and forth, but he was playing a whole different game. And I could just easily see it and see how easily he was able to manipulate the scenario in order to sell this product. And not to mention, it was like he showed up at like 8 o'clock at night or like 7 o'clock at night to like push this once in a blue moon deal. So it's just like all these like added little things, and I could go into why I didn't speak up. Still, I hindsight tells me, I regret not speaking up and calling that guy out. Not to mention the ADT did absolutely nothing the entire time we lived there. And you saw our neighborhood; it was trashy, but the ADT didn't help or hinder anything in any way. Not to say it maybe couldn't have or wouldn't have, but I don't know. Just a waste of money, really. Yeah, I just have a personal gripe with people who are like that. And if that's what they're the average person who is Mason or Masonic adjacent if that's why they're keeping the secret, so that they can have a little one up in conversations and at their job or whatever it is, fuck you. Grow up, expose these dudes. I don't see the draw of like, I would much rather be a freaking Benedict Arnold in masonry. Like I would be the first whistleblower. I would be not to say that there haven't been whistleblowers. I'm just saying like I would be whistleblowing so easy once I saw what that's all about. How is there not more? It's maybe the answer is probably maybe a little scarier than what we're saying, because they are tied in with the fraternal order police, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the coroners, if not all of the coroners, or if you're even able to be a coroner without shaking hands, the right hands, and you know what I mean? Because those coroners, people, you got to think about it, where these things end up. I know I'm going all over the place, but I'm like saying like if they're able to get rid of people, I think they need to have a good, they'd have to have the coroners on their side and things of that nature. But anyway, and I think we realize they do too. I bet I don't even want to get into it. Never mind. But yeah, just long story short, we should have a Masonic super show. Not to mention we use their symbology. Wouldn't be surprised if we get like copyright claimed for using the Masonic symbol one of these days. That would be a symbol. That would be like I'd be proud of that day. But yeah, we should have a show with whoever wants to hop on too. If you guys have great information too, yeah, feel free to keep it coming. Shout out to Dale. He sent quite a few emails for me to look into, and I haven't given him the full breadth of my looking into. A lot of the stuff he shared with me, I already knew mostly about, but he has shared things that are outside of the base of knowledge that I had, like not necessarily anecdotal to him, but to other people that I hadn't heard about, like stories that I hadn't heard about different sects of Masonry. And I've recently just barely scratched the surface on Oriental Masonry, which I wasn't really keen on. I wasn't actually, which is Oriental Masonry is interesting because for lots of reasons. But anyway, we should have a super show where we really do go over as much as possible. It doesn't have to stick to Masonry. Obviously, Masonry is a branch of the arm of a bird that we know full well, but it kind of has their roots in the more down to earth thing. It's not like there's a Vatican in every city, but there's several lodges. So you see how and obviously police stations might as well be blue lodges. Keeping like it'd be interesting to get some more like boots on the ground, like monitoring. I've always, with that lodge, that there's several lodges that were in Portland. I've wanted to just kind of park at, just monitor what's going on there. You know, I think what happened, I think normal people would be like, be the first to be like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you watching these people? Like, leave them alone. I was just like, man, I can't get into this with you. But anyway, who knows? I'm just being pessimistic about it. But anyway, went on long enough. But yeah, I am going to write that down because I do want to. I think it's been long enough that we haven't had more of a themed episode, and what better theme than iconography that we borrow from for our logos and stuff.
Yeah, maybe do that on 4 or 5 because we don't have a race on that day.
Oh, good point.
When all the 4 or 5 4s, we can just go in on all that too and add to that and talk about what we always talk about. I mean,
and that gives people time to prepare as well. So yeah.
There might be more Cobain news breaking on that day too.
Yeah.
Or something going on in Washington. Who knows? I mean, what we're showing. I mean,
yeah. Keep in mind if Washington's in the headlines on 4 or 5. Great point. Yeah, I would not be surprised. I would definitely not be surprised.
Yeah, April's going to be. I mean, I know we're halfway through March. We still have a lot of good deal of March left, but half of it left. But I mean, April's really going to be something this year. I mean, it's actually what we're showing every week. I mean, I can't imagine what they got set up for April. I mean, it's really going to be something we've never seen before.
Yeah, we got a full head turn and 3 blinks away from the end of March, and it'll be here. So quite a ways. Yeah, speaking of the headlines, I know we can touch on like a couple things, give our take on something, and then we can wrap this pupper up. But I just wanted to touch on this, and I know you're privy to it. Luckily, I think both of us have had maybe our best week in a while being able to catch streams of Zach and such. Been cool to see you in there. I think every time I've seen you in the chat though, I've been working, so I've been able to quickly say hi, and then I had the chat up and people would be saying, hey, what's up, or at least saying hi back, and a lot of times I can't reply because I'm cooking. But anyway, huge ritual performed just a few days ago, the earlier part of this week on March 10th. Yeah, Mr. Bam Adebayo. And if you guys don't know about Mr. Bam, his government name, or I guess not his government name, but his stage name equals 201. That's important for multiple reasons. Keep in mind, he went to Kentucky, where they're the Wildcats, Kentucky Wildcats at 201. There was another 201 detail in this, but really, I mean, the numbers are stark as well. I mean, just take a look at this stat line, guys. You tell me what you see. I mean, this is MVP caliber in my opinion. What did I just do? How do I just reset it? Okay. I mean, 83 points. Wow. I mean, look at his 2 games since then. 6 shots in both games made. I mean, look at this, 6 of 20, 6 of 15. It's like, damn, bro. It's like, and why are you shooting 7 3-pointers? Anyway, if you guys don't know who Bam Adebayo is, it's just like why is he shooting 10 3-pointers against the pit? Like, what is happening? But anyway, take a look at this stat line. This is just beautiful. I'm sure he's so proud. I'm sure his mom, who happened to be at the game, and I checked into it, his mom does not attend every game, every home game, but she was there for this one in a brand new jersey. And if you guys have seen the pictures of him hugging her afterwards, it says Captain. Let's see. Bio Mom at 83 game. Yeah, Captain Mama Bam. It's just beautifully brand new printed jersey, at least recently printed. I guess it is a jersey from one of their the NBA does these like weird sponsorship nights for certain things, and there's I think Asia Wilson, who is worth pointing out with her having tied in the WNBA for the most points in the WNBA, and then now it's like, wow, what a power couple. They're either going to get along really well at home or they're going to do nothing but compete with each other. But yeah, he's currently dating her, and she holds that 53 point, which is not bad. That's a lot of layups, tell you that. I wonder, what I'm interested in? I'm interested. Stat. I want to see the stat line for Asia. I'm not interested, brother. Where? No. Don't tell me how many just she made. Where's the stat line? Okay, let's see. When did she do this? Sorry. Got to check. Okay. In 2025 against Los Angeles. You're not going to tell me the day, huh? That'd be too much. Man. When did it say it was? Look what it's got me doing. Oh, was it not? I might have been wrong. Was it not 2025? It said that she did it. Guess not. Let's go 2024. Shouldn't take me too long. Sorry, guys. Little sidetrack. I just want to see the stat line she put up for her historic points.
Miss Wilt.
Yep. I don't think I'm missing it. I'm looking for that. Oh, there it is. There it is. All right. Where is... Oh, oops. Okay. 16 of 23. She shot 70% with only 1 3. Like I said, I mean, I assume there was a lot of layups going on. Then again, she shot 20 of 21 at the free throw line. 21 free throws is a lot. I'm just saying. But yeah, it looks like both of them got their. It'd be interesting to go back because I know in Kobe's big game, he shot a lot of free throws in that too. His 81, he shot a ton of free throws.
Huh.
Ah, man, I'm tempted to go look at his stat line too. There's probably a lot in comparing those two stat lines, but anyway, because if you guys are privy, this was a multifaceted ritual throw with harkening back to obviously the instant comparison is Kobe's 81 because that's the record he beat. Bam did, and what I talked to you about it, but as soon as I saw that, my first inclination, no joke, was that this is not going to be considered a good. I just knew it wouldn't be some insane thing. It was kind of at first, but now the dust is kind of settled and people are just coming out of the woodwork saying it's a trash 83. It was and we obviously these are people who are holding up the fallacy of the NBA being legitimate, but even within those confines, they're finding ways to expose it as illegitimate, not, for many reasons, but especially being that it was, a rather lopsided game already. And yet he stayed in the entirety of the fourth quarter and everything like that. Just to, pad his stats. And if you, like I said, here's that moment where you guys can come back now and leave your comments about what you thought about the highlights you watched, if you did go and watch them. Absolutely atrocious. I don't care how bad the Wizards are. You cannot come at me and say, oh no, it's like you should have 3 guys foul out that game. If nobody can contain him, then 3 guys at least should have fouled out trying to. But to give him just open shot after open shot, clear, just come on down the runway. You want to dunk another one? You want another dunk? You want another dunk? Oh, and then, granted, he was getting a lot of fouls. Go ahead and look at those. Just touch fouls constantly. I remember one specifically where it's just like, the whistle was like, he had already like fallen on the ground after like a dunk or a layup. Like the contact, if any contact happened, it was like seconds ago, like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. And then like he's sitting on the ground and then whistle blows. It's just like, there's just so much garbage. But on top of that, it's just a throwaway game. And anyway, never mind all that garbage. It was a huge ritual, like you mentioned, to do with Wilt Chamberlain as well. And yeah, just I can only imagine if he tries to bring this up at home while they're cooking dinner. It's just like, hey, I dropped 83. It's a bit more that's 30 more than you dropped. And then she'd be like, yeah, you shot 30 more free throws. You fucking bitch. It's just like, I can only imagine there'd be obviously these people are, what's it called? Arranged dating and marriages and all these kinds of things. Like, what are the odds? Like, what are the absolute odds? Like, get the fuck out of here. You have the 2 current alive holders of the most points scored dating. And this is only a couple years in between this happening. Okay. And just the idea that it is Bam Adebayo who did it. Of all the NBA players, it's just like, Bam Adebayo, what? Like, yeah, sure. Even if you're just if you're in that mindset, he is good, but like, bro, he's 83 good. Okay. Oh, the other 201. That's it. Base 8. Washington scored 129 points. Let's see. I guess it's just his stats, but if I can pull that up. But yeah. Which is also just ridiculous. You have the losing team scoring 129 points. Bro, it's just so hard to try to speak about this because I assume that it's just common knowledge, but I look around and it's not. And people I work with are still just like yapping on and on about sports and how exciting this was or how cool this is. And I'm just like, grow up. Like, play video games or something. Play video games. I'll respect you more.
Yeah, and like I always say, like I understand, like if you're talking like the 90s, early 2000s, you thought NASCAR, wrestling, football was cool, and I totally understand that. But to be into the stuff today, like look at the race today. How could you even sit there and say like that was like a great race or anything? It's just like everything. It's just so like everything's just so boring, and it's just so dead, and it's just like. And everything's just, it just looks so, that's the thing too. You also have, you didn't have people complain about, NASCAR, wrestling, football back in the day. Now they all hate their sports. Everyone hates wrestling. Everyone hates NASCAR. Everyone hates football. Everyone's complaining about it. They're telling you how bad it is, but yet the people still love it and they're eating it up. It's like, how is that possible?
It's like they get out in front of it. So they're self-deprecating so rather than taking real criticism like we give, instead of having to deal with the real criticism that we're giving, and obviously Zach's community, especially Zach's community, I should say, exposing the obvious rituals that they're doing and the obvious, scripting their games in order to have predictable outcomes and fool people out of their house and home in Vegas. They will act like their dissenters are the ones from within. The ones they're paying are the only ones you hear about dissenting. So you think that there's like the average person will think like, oh man, look at Kyrie Irving. Did you hear what Kyrie said? Oh, did you see how much Kyrie got paid over the last 10 years? It's like, he's accepted the bribe is paid for in full. And, we act like we're going to get the information from one of them. It's just like, yeah, right. Everybody's relying on literal, a true miracle. Somebody who is of the system, that we're all waiting on Neo. We're all waiting on something that the system itself bore, but it's going to rebel and become the virus from within and expose them. Yeah, right. Where has that all gone? Where has it gone? You know how many people have whistleblown? How come it's not blown wide open? We have professional athletes coming out and saying, this is that. Jeremy Lin's making the circuit now. Now Jeremy Lin's going around on every podcast talking about how the NBA is rigged and how he would have put up insane, even more Linsane numbers, but they shut him down and they wouldn't let him score certain places and they wouldn't let him play in the fourth quarter at MSG at the Madison Square Garden. It's just like, and that people will be like, oh, did you hear about that? Did you hear about that one case? That's what they did that one time. Not in the game I watched where my team won, though. It's just like, that's how they do it. They isolate these things so that it's never going to burst the bubble. It might burst the bubble of one group of fans or one team's like fan base, but that team, how many of those teams' fan bases are going to come back the very next season and just be like, oh, well, we'll get them now and we're going to do it. It's just like, how do you fill the seats at like a Trojans game? Or you at like college or like a Duke game after the rape stuff, accusations and stuff? How do you fill seats? How do people it's just so weird. I know that sounds weird, but it's just like, it's the same kind of concept. What needs to happen for you to say, this is not worth my time, effort, and like mental wherewithal to follow these things? And I can understand. And here's the olive branch I'll throw out to you. I was really into stats. It's because I watched baseball. I was really into baseball. I played baseball, so that helps. I don't know. I think it's hard for people to be fans of baseball that have no like connection to baseball. That's what I've come to realize is like a lot of the people, I had to find baseball friends because average people didn't watch baseball. They watched all the other sports, whether or not they played them or not. But baseball, for some reason, seems to need some sort of entry level amount of being adjacent or having played baseball in your life to watch it and be a fan of it. Anyway, but I was really into baseball. I was really into all the sports, really, but not all of them, but the main ones, the big three. But yeah, I love the stats aspect of it. I loved stats. So I guess that helped in that I wasn't infatuated with any, I had my fanboy moments over certain figures. Like I used to really like Brandon Roy of the Blazers, and I had my moments with Damian Lillard early on before I woke up. But yeah, I understand that aspect of it. It can be quite fun. Like people playing fantasy football, if they liked the game of fantasy football, which by the way, football is fantasy football. You're playing fantasy football. You're playing like the game within the game because the game is already a smorgasbord of random stats picked or not arbitrarily, but arbitrarily to the average person, with seemingly random winners, when in reality they so I guess it is removed from our version of fantasy football in that way, but it is a fantasy to think that they're out there, doing things on the fly and off the cuff for the majority of what they do. I think you can have some variance and still keep the script together. Maybe we can eventually talk about, how we think they script these games, like logistically, because I think that's something that is a little bit vague for a lot of people. No one, like, the ritual's clear. And to me, you do just need the rituals. All you need to do is be able to see the rituals. And then at that point, this isn't what I only think. I do think that they're being rigged, and I do have some understanding of how they would do that logistically. But at the same time, who the fuck cares? Like, you don't even need to know at that point. Why? Like, do you need to know every little detail to be convinced to not give this your time anymore? No, we're past that point, just knowing the rituals. So why are we still arguing about anyone having to watch these things anymore? Nobody does. There's no good reason to. It's bad. It's not. It's bad to watch. It's boring. It's an energy harvest, and you're knowingly, in my opinion, a lot of people are knowingly participating because there's nothing it adds to their life. Yet it's like gambling in a way. Not to just harp on gambling. It's just something that it's like drinking. It's like, doing drugs. That's a better analogy. It's just, it's not adding to your life in a good way. Why do it at all? Anyway, I rambled. My bad, dude.
Well, you got a great point. I mean, it's just, and that's the thing too. I mean, it's like with everything else going on in the world too. I mean, this is what people, like I said, that's the difference. The 90s, early 2000s, life was completely different. It was a completely different world. Yeah, things were a lot more interesting, a lot more fun. And I understand people liking sports and being into things back then. And, things looked cool and seemed cool. And, I get it. And, the world was completely different. But, just where we are today in the world and what's going on. And people are still like, yeah, people even still care about this stuff. It's like, with that. Yeah, it's like I was saying last week with the gas prices. I mean, gas has gone up again. I mean, it's up to up over $5 now. I mean, it's insane. It's like $2 more than it was not long ago. It's just unbelievable. And it's like, why does no one care about that? How does no one why is that just like under the radar, like it's not happening, yet everything else is like still going on? It just blows me away.
You got me. These are the questions that I think are kind of need to be answered internally with most people, because it seems like an external, nudge. They need something more than that. And it makes sense. I think a lot of things that are going to be awoken in people is going to be done from the inside out. But for my opinion, an outside nudge can't hurt. And it's just weird seeing so many people, and I'm not saying everybody gets the message. Like, not everybody will even see the message, which let's not assign blame on that. But let's just, understand that some people won't even see the message. But for those that do, what's going on up there, guys? What's working? What's that little hamster doing spinning up there? What is he drunk? What's going on with that little hamster in there spinning on his little hamster wheel in your head? How are you guys not, how do you know, or at least how are you shown something so rock solid and clear and are able to just deny it for what? Is LeBron gonna marry you and your girl later this year? Or do you guys, what is the connection to these actors on the stage that makes you feel like you need to commit to this? And this isn't even where I was going with this whole thing. I wanted to talk. It's just, this is how we do it. I'm not even gonna make excuses. But yeah, it's just for me, it's like, for an anecdote, like I have my brother who parks his bum ass on the side of my mom's house and has done that for years and years and years. And he has a daughter that he's disowned in order to be a bum on the streets. Um, well, not really. He's worse. You know, I have some respect for the bums on the streets that are going out into the unknown. Yeah, they're probably going to do drugs and do all that stuff, but they're leaving they don't have a safety net. My brother just parks outside of his mommy's house. So, but it's anyway. Yeah, I mean, he has the gall to have a phone and still be connected to the internet and still be on Facebook talking about sports and talking about religion as if like, that's a whole nother topic. But let's stick with the sports thing. The last time I talked to him, I went there and he happened to be out. It was during the summer, and he crawled out of his hole that he made, and I happened to bring him some. I think it was like a Powerade and some treats from the gas station or whatever, because I brought my mom some groceries and stuff. And you know, we ended up talking, and we talked for like an hour and a half, and certain things turned into arguments. We were talking about religion and sports and everything. But yeah, sticking with the sports thing, it was just like, it was so frustrating because it's just like, how can you be about sport? What who cares what the Mariners are doing? How could you care about what the Blazers are doing in the offseason? How could you care? What do you got going on in that hole in there? Is there like sports memorabilia? I don't understand what is going on. What is it to them? What does it mean? And this is coming from somebody who, what I appreciate about myself is I kept it a hobby. I didn't make it some part of my life, but it is part of people's life, and it's not okay. Your life is bigger and meant for other things. And this is not a judgment for me to make upon you. I just wish you would realize it sooner than people are, because we're locked in here with you fucking losers, and it's really annoying.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with politics and everything else, religion, all this stuff. I mean, and that's just where it's at, because it's just, we're just at a point in time where it's just amazing, like I was saying, like last episode, how I could see these things and point these things out as, a child, like a 4-year-old, and you could have a 40-year-old today with all the resources, all the technology, the internet, the smartphone, they could watch our YouTube, they could watch Zach, and they're still not going to get it. They're still going to deny it. It's just, like you just said, just like how disappointing people and humanity really are. Like a decade ago, like, I don't know. I just gave people, like I said, too much credit, I guess, just too much rope, and they've hung us all with it. I don't know. It's just unbelievable. Like how dumb people are, and just like I said, how disappointing people turn out to really be. I mean, it's just like, after all this time, it's like, and this is why a lot of people, they'll have nothing, but as long as they have, like I said, their politics, their president, their Jesus, their Bible, their sports, their whatever it is, they're going to be good, and they're not good. They don't care about nothing else. It's just, and this is the problem with so many people. It's just, so many people are just, they're stuck at the bottom, but they don't want, they're good with where they are with what they have, but they don't even realize, like, it's just like someone that, like, they don't like sports, they don't like anything, but it's like, oh, I still love the Packers because I live in Wisconsin, I live in Swamico, I live in Green Bay. I gotta support the Packers, and I have to, buy the brand new Jordan Love jersey, and I have to wear it around because, green and gold and Green Bay and Wisconsin, and even though I don't want to do it, but I mean, I can't be left out. I can't be the oddball. And then it's just like, you have people that way, and then you got people that literally could just choose, they're not really being pressured to do anything, and they're going to do it anyways. It's just like, that's just where society is. I mean, people have like things that people should like and care about and want to be interested and open their mind to and stuff. They're not. It's just like most people that they truly are a waste. They're a waste of time. They're a waste of space because whether your situation is, you feel like you got to do something because other people, or that's just the way it is in that situation, or where you're at, or like you're in a place where you can kind of be whoever you want to be. You still got to look at what most of humanity is choosing to do. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, we could sit here and we can show people truth and fact and evidence, and anyone can do that. But at the end of the day, it's up to people to do what they got to do. It's up to people to stand up and go against the grain and stop what's going on. And, that's just the thing. And to sit here and, after all this time, after all these years, and to see how people are, what people are doing, and the way people are with things, it's like, you look at the future, it's like, yeah, I'm not like, this isn't the world and the people I'm trying to save. This isn't anything worth saving anymore. This is, all of this has to go. The religion has to go. The Jesus has to go. The sports has to go. The politics, the presidents, the popes, it all has to go. And the people that are with this stuff, it all has to go too. And there's nothing that you're going to save or there's worth saving at this point. Like, there's so few people in this life, in this world, that won't disappoint you. There's so few people that are even worth, that have any substance to them. There's just so few people that, I even would consider or want to save or take with me or try and, bring up in the community or anything anymore. There's just that number is getting less and less by the days, by the weeks, by the months, by the years. It's dwindling down to the point there's almost just no one left to want to deal with anymore or want around. I mean, just how people are, just the way people have to just keep falling off, falling away, even though it's like there's no reason to. It's like you were saying with your brother. I mean, there's just no reason for this stuff. There's absolutely none. And then especially in today's day and age, and that this is what people still are doing. So it's like, yeah, when I look at the state of the world, I look at people and there's everything that's going on. I mean, people that know what's going on, people that are upset that, either the way of life or the cost of living or the wars or the gas or just all the crap. Like a decade ago, where we were with humanity, like to where we are today. I mean, it's a completely different world in a decade. Like where we were a decade ago to where we are now, it's a completely different world already. Like they've transformed people completely in a decade. Even a decade ago was awful and it was still horrible and it was still bad. That's nothing to what we have today. And then I just sit, I think about these people and just how worse they're getting, how bad they're getting, and then them staying around. It's like, yeah, all these people, they all need to go. This whole system, everything, it all needs to go. It all needs to come crashing down. And you really look at it, there's so few people and there's so few things left worth anything, worth saving, worth keeping around. I mean, and it's just getting worse. I mean, it's the thing. I mean, going forward, it's just like, man, it's unfathomable. Like the next 4 or 5 years, I mean, I can't imagine what things are going to be like and what people are going to be like. And that's the thing. I mean, these are the people that are, I mean, we're just surrounded by. I mean, that's just the thing. I mean, it's so hard to find anyone in your life that has even a decent amount of substance, because at the end of the day, it's, people are just going to do what they're going to do. And it doesn't matter what, you or I think or what you or I want the world to be. It's whatever these people are going to, unfortunately, make it, because they are the majority. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the majority is, screwing us over. And then you look at just how bad people have become, how bad things are. And it's just like, yeah, this ain't ever going to get any better. It's not going to get fixed. And the way the world is going, the way these people are going, how crazy people are getting, just how, and you see it in all ways. I mean, you still have you still got the mass tards 6 years later. You still have those people. You still have the people that will defend that, or that they won't get mad about the situation they're in, but they're happy to they care about their sports, more about their sports team than they do their own living situation. I mean, this is the point where it's like, this is where it all needs to go, because we are at the breaking point. We are there, and we, like I always say, we don't know how much time we have left. We don't know how much time and space we have ahead of us. But with these people and the way that where the world is right now, it's just unfathomable what we're living in.
Yeah, we'll put. And it's just crazy to think that the known world that we have, and how tightly packed we all are together, but how much space there is for everyone, yet we bundle together in our misery. And and yeah, I just obviously I work, not obviously, but I work in Portland. I live in like the hills of Washington, which is beautiful and kind of removed for now. They're not obviously, I keep saying obviously, they're unfortunately putting in a bunch of new apartment buildings just down the road, or just down the hill, so can't run too far nowadays. But yeah, I work in Portland, and just what you have to see there, just commuting on the freeways or the freeway exits and everywhere in between. It's just, the world's a freaking mess. And the priorities that people have, it's so messed up. And this is coming from somebody with messed up priorities. It's like, God, I should not be a shining angel in this world. I want to be a good light in this world, but I'm not there. Like, I have all these things that I need to work on, that I'm working on, and I need to do for myself, that I have this like within my like microverse, I got this stuff I got to work on. And then I look outside and I'm like, what the fuck is the point? Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah.
But that is kind of the point. You shouldn't, this isn't trying to pass on a pessimistic point of view. Do what you guys need to do. That we don't take that as the point of our channel. We've always spoken that, like, that doesn't lessen the fact that you know what you need to do. Your calling is, you picked up the phone. Don't ignore it. Don't ignore what they're saying on the other line. You gotta pony up. It's time to pony up, and everybody's got to. The more people do, the more you'll recognize it, and I think that's why we hit it off so quickly and knew, without knowing each other. And like we've said multiple times too, it's not like we sat there and like really got to know each other and like talked. We were out there talking to other people. You were on the mic. We had like, I think 5 minutes sitting down, just shooting the shit about facts. It's not like it was like some like getting to know what we're about. It was just like facts about weather warfare that we were talking about. And then, but more than that, it was just like, in the backdrop of downtown Portland, it was just like this like golden statue where we were standing. It was just like anybody would have been able to see. And there was plenty of people who could see what we were all about and wanted nothing but to bring us down to their level. And those people showed up, unfortunately, more than people like us. But either way, the point I'm making is, do your best to show yourself to the world as, a victor of this mess, not somebody who succumbed to it and fallen to it.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, I mean, it's not, we're not talking from a defeatist standpoint. We're not talking, black pill and doom and gloom. It's just, we're just talking straight facts. This is what we do. I mean, we're just talking facts, and it's just, we got our own things going for us and our own lives, and we bring our own, put our positives and optimisms, where they are and stuff. But it's just, but like you said, I mean, it really shouldn't be us like towing the line. Like I never thought in my life like I'd be lead. Like, I mean, I always, like I said, I knew there was like, there's like why I'm here and what is this, and there's like I always say, like my your only purpose is to be one with the land, one with nature and stuff, and that's just me. But it's just like, I look at what else I'm doing, and it's just and all this stuff, like you said, it's like we're we're almost like these superhuman, like Superman. We're like the cartoon characters at this point in this world, with where we are compared to everybody else. And that's just yeah, we're two people trying to make it, like you said. We're not, I don't, what do I got? Who am I? I mean, I put two and two together. There's just, I have my connections and my knowledge and stuff, but it's not like, I should be, and I never thought like it would just be like this. And it's just amazing. And just like you said, I mean, the world moving in the direction it's moving, the time and the people in it right now. I mean, knowing something has to give, and it's going to give sooner than later. So we mean, every day it's a fight, but it's, like I said, it's a fight that only certain people even are going to fight. And it's a fight only certain people are even worth winning and staying around for. So, at the end of the day, whatever happens. But, yeah, it's amazing. And like you said, I mean, that's, last time we went out there, pounded pavement stuff. And that was just more proof of it that day. I mean, just three of us, me and Zach, and on the mic, and you were there. And yeah, where's everyone else saying they're right there, but then they don't show up. They don't come out there, so it's just like, wow. It's just, that's the thing. It's like, okay, I know I'm rare. I know there's, okay, but it's like, man, I'm that rare. It's, it truly is mind blowing. And then, the more time that passes, I mean, to think that was already a year and a half ago. I mean, now it's a year and a half has passed. Just so few people toeing the line, and yeah, there's not much of us left, but we're just doing what we can. And it's just, this is the point, like I've said, too, it's, we're kind of, we're at that point right now where I don't know. I mean, like I said, am I going to get flooded out here pretty soon? Is something else going to happen? It's just, we're at that eerie stage right now. We're at an eerie moment, because we're on center stage, and we are the cream of the crop. And yeah, we've truly risen as high as we can go. Yeah, we just continue to get higher and higher, and we just keep moving up and surpassing all the slave muzzle sheep, and, like you said, all the losers of the world.
Yeah, and to kind of add to that before we take off here, I have like this personal feeling too that, because we talk, like, there's no specific reason why me, one of three children, raised by a single mom for the most part, who never really imparted anything into me, definitely no like dissension or even to be, part of the system either. I talked about this. I think I even mentioned it just last week, but I'm grateful for my mom that, like, I didn't get put into any one system, but for the most part, it's just, in my opinion, it's really hard to understand why more people aren't understanding what this world is. It's not, I would understand if it was like something that it's like you couldn't possibly know, like an M. Night Shyamalan twist. But dude, it's right there, and like people don't see it, and the people that do see it sometimes don't even acknowledge it. But what I think is interesting is, I mentioned the Matrix earlier, and obviously that allegory in the Matrix, they are talking to people who, unfortunately, en masse are the sheep in the Matrix. They're not Neo, but they'll sit there and think, "Oh yeah, we're Neo." It's like, yeah, okay, sure. I want you guys. We should all be Neo. That is, even if you think Neo is the good character in that series or whatever. But regardless of that, of course, you do got Mr. 9/11 birthday. Anyway, I'm going into that, Mr. Anderson. But what I think is just so interesting is that, like we mentioned, religion, and a lot of people have religion. What it does is it provides people with a foundation where they can't build their own. They can't build their own foundation with the tools they have, so they co-opt another person's foundation. And because that foundation was given to them, they don't know the rules to it. So they just have to be a follower. And what that takes away is now you are in the system of that foundation, the creator of that foundation. Whereas I think we're all separate from the foundation, like you mentioned earlier, living off the land type of like, one with nature. Obviously, there would be some form of technology involved in that. At this day and age, there's no going, it's going to take the nuke and like completely ice age reset. It's going to take those dystopian movies to ever get us back there. But I think it's all pretty clear what we're doing ain't it. But I think it's just so interesting that without any real reason, I am who I am. Like I know what I know, and I've reached that understanding without any, I'm shout outs to everything that's, got me to where I am, good and bad. But I'm just saying, I think it takes, in order to enact like en masse types of change, I think it takes enough people that are able to influence enough more people. I think that's okay. Yeah, dumb shit, duh. But I'm saying, I think one of those main things is children, is the next generation. And so I have, for the, maybe this is myself putting myself in that weird foundational box too, and not seeing the forest from the trees. But I think that if we are headed towards collapse, whether or not it's put on us by the rulers of this world or the creator of this world, I think it's in our best interest to fight what we deem as the good fight. And so I do find it very, very, along the same lines of what you're saying. I do consider myself special in that way, that I'm in this world at this moment with this knowledge and with this understanding in order to pass it on to people that are going to learn from me and come up with that. Even though I was born into none of that. Like I had none, like I was just raised ambiguously, yet I feel like I ended up on the right side of things. And I'm now going to provide a beacon for the kids under me, or the generation underneath of me. So I do, find a sense of pride in that. That doesn't mean I, rest on my laurels. That's, a dangerous way of going about things. There's always more to do. There's always more to learn, but just kind of piggybacking off what you're saying, that's kind of where I see it as. I rarely find myself comparing myself to, I know I do come across judgmental when I'm speaking in like vague numbers of people, like the masses and things of that nature. I think we all understand where we're coming from with that. And it's not that if I went and had a conversation with somebody at a store and they were sports oriented, I'm going to sit there and say, you fucking idiot. I might be thinking it, but I don't really condemn people in that way, but it comes across in that way when we're speaking, about the people as a whole, because we're speaking about our, what's the word? Our, run-ins, I guess you could say, with those people of the world. So that's going to affect the interpretation of the whole. But anyway, that's just my take on. And we could have another show too about, we've talked about religion obviously multiple times, and we've given our takes on what we believe in this world. And there's always more to expound upon. Our to get to know us better and know our inner workings or inner thoughts about certain things. But yeah, one thing I do dislike greatly about religion, and I'm not any kind of super hater on religion. I see the power that it wields for evil, and it's unfortunate so many people use it in that way. But one of the things I guess I can leave it at that. One of these days, we will have to have a larger discussion that's not just like trying to be dismissive or tearing it down, because there's a lot to everything. Everything has its place in the sun, and it'd be fun to have a full-fledged discussion rather than just a. Not to say that's all we've done either. I'm not sitting here saying that's all we've done. We've talked, at length about the ins and outs of parts of religion too. But it'd be better to get it'd be cool to get more in depth on it too. Also, a masonry super show. Anyway, if any of these topics spur you guys on and you'd like to join, as usual, we got the scroller at the bottom there with the email. Hit us up in the email. Leave a comment. This isn't me e-begging. I'm just, if you want to get a hold of us. And keep in mind, too, we'll have the pinned email and number for Austin if you want to get a hold of him directly, especially if it's for, not just if it's for, but especially if it's for the opportunity with the investments. So if anybody is still is wondering what that is, and maybe next week we'll have an update on that at the beginning of the show, just to keep it in front of people's heads too. But
yeah,
I think that was a rousing enough episode. I know I got enough off my chest. I need to go do a workout. I got so much off my chest. So you put something back.
Yeah, it was a good episode for sure. Yeah, maybe next week. Yeah, maybe I'll do something like monthly, like update on it or something, or just talk about that investment thing. Because yeah, I mean that's trying to get more people involved and stuff, and even people around. You're trying to find people and stuff that maybe want to go to meetings or get involved or whatever. But yeah, like I said, you don't have to. You could just you can do it and never mention it, never say a word about it your whole life and do it and still do well with it. So you don't have to, grow it, and you can pass people up and do whatever you want with it. So it is cool. It is interesting. So that is something I'll definitely have to see. I mean, obviously I'd like to try and grow it and make the most of it. I mean, I don't see why not. We have the opportunity here with the channel and stuff, and I know there's not a ton of views and a ton of people, but people that are around. I mean, hopefully there's just enough people that I know. Like I said, that one person hit me up and they haven't gotten back to me, so I'm gonna have to get back to them. And like I said, I got that bakery thing that I've tried a couple more places yesterday, but they weren't interested. So I got like maybe 5 at most, but maybe 1 or 2 of them goes on board, or a couple or whatever, and maybe something happens with that this month. So that's another thing I'm watching right now. But yeah, between the investments and that bakery thing, just trying to find a way to survive and make more money and do what I got to do, and live in this world and stuff and keep going. So yeah, that's definitely stuff we'll keep updated. Yeah, it was a good show. We had a lot of good info tonight. Again, we just keep adding every week. There'll be more to add next week and the week after, and we're just going to keep adding more and more, and just keep it coming for you. So we piece this together. We really piece things. I mean, we're finding things, and that's the amazing thing too. I mean, the amount of time you put in the research and times you look for stuff, and then there's things that are right there in front of you, don't even realize. And we find in the shows, or we just find more info as we go. So, we always just keep connecting the dots, putting it all together. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to. Yeah, we got the 322 coming up. We got the 329 a month for the big 429. This gonna be very interesting. So yeah, we got a lot of big days coming up, and a lot of big shows. Gonna be a lot to talk about, a lot to go over. So yeah, I'm excited for what's to come right now. And yeah, like I said, just keep taking her day by day and see where things lead. Right now, I think it's we're a couple hours. We're gonna be in the less than 3 hours. Gonna be the second half of March already, if we can believe that. Second half could be Austin 316 time. So yep, looking forward to that. And guess we'll be off to the big 322 in a week. 7 days.
7 days.
7.
You guys get a strange number, don't pick it up. All right, guys.
That's the ringing in your ears. It's the ringing.
Don't pick up that call. That's not the call I'm talking about. All right. All right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. Same as usual. Hit us up in the comments. Leave us an email. Drop by. Do whatever you want. Say whatever you want. Like, don't like. I don't care. Not really, but yeah, and once again, if you guys are interested in coming on the show, it doesn't have to be things that we talk about. I just want to kind of remind people that we're multifaceted. We like to talk about a whole lot of things. So
Yeah.
hopefully we've represented, we've shown that over the course of our 78 episodes so far. But thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you guys next week for Kabbalah Day.
Yeah.
Later, guys.
Peace.